section we have discussed how we do the customer segment, how do we choose, what is the market size in terms of results. So we said we're gonna look at the survey data collected from the state, and then we'll see do a research on how much is the willingness to pay on this market size, what is the market size really is, and then if they will do the repeat purchase or it's gonna be a one-time purchase, so that we can see what is the total scope, then ability, how much price they can pay. So that will help us to know the market size in the US dollars. And then you can factor in the capture ratio, how much market you actually can capture from this by looking at competition in your town, in your space, how much is how you are going to penetrate that. That's a part of business model and your marketing efficiencies. So you need to come up with those ratios to be able to demonstrate how much really you can capture. The next part, sorry, I forgot to share my screen. Let me share the screen with you, and then you will be able to see what we are talking about. Yeah. And then we discussed how we can how do we select the specific location. So we discussed the other metrics is where you're gonna be most profitable and you will find your most customers to enter into the market from that particular niche. So we took an example of Gurgaon, Connaught Place and Janakpuri in Delhi, India, where you may find different customer footfall, how much is the by customer segment, how many of them are old age, how many of them are working professionals. So what would be the market size by different customer segment that you want to choose, so which we come from our customer segmentation. And then willingness to pay will be defined by the amount they want to pay, and the actual your estimated capture ratio. So we are assuming here we want to capture 10% of the old age and 5% of the working professionals. And then your ability to capture on this particular each of the particular location. So we were able to say, okay, market size for different people's footfall will be something, and then we discuss also on the market price, the variable cost, and also a deemed fixed cost, so that we can understand which market will be the most profitable to enter into the market. So it doesn't mean that you will not enter the other markets, but since you may be starting up, your resources may first should be focused on to enter into the most profitable market. And then if you have, once you have the resources, you have the capacity, you have the team, then you can target the other markets which you may have researched. Then we discussed about the pricing. How do we do the pricing? So we discussed on the ingredient pricing, and then we can compare the prices compared to your competitors with a similar product if they have, or alternative, or a sustain or substitute product, how much price they have, what are your plus points compared to that product, either exact same product or a substitute, how much a customer would be really willing to pay for that substitute for your product, which is positive in few references. And then we also discussed how would be the other plus points and the negative points, what is your negative point compared to those similar or ideas. Here you need to be really honest, looking at the unique value of your customer, your competition, so that you don't have to always beat your competitors in every aspect. You just have to manage it so that you are providing more plus points than negative points, and ultimately the value that you are able to charge. So if, let's say, your reasonable price compared to the negative and positive points comes to 2.3, and you're going to charge 2.2, so then the customer will definitely see a value in your product. uh, from the price point itself. And then we said other aspect of the pricing can also be looking at what is the ROI that we need, right? So the ROI of the product depends on the cost, the contribution margin. What is your contribution margin? What is your waste, spoilage, the market price fluctuations in the ingredients? So how much desired how much desired profitability do we need in this? So that's the optimal price based on return on investment into the different price points. What may be the market contribution? Just hang on, please. अरे कौन है किसका फोन आ रहा है नन्नो हाँ तो किसका फोन है बता दो ना अरे ठीक है बाद में बात करेंगे तब Yeah. So how much was so we were discussing we need to see the break-even point. At what price do we want to charge? Cost, contribution, and then gross profit, your fixed cost, labor cost, rental, how much is your rental, and then what is your profit at what kind of price point. So if let's say your investment is coming faster at $2.5, then you would be able to make the $2.5 may be an optimal price if it is permitted by the local market. So when your price at local market suggested is 2.3 and your optimal price compared to the benchmark is 1.16, so you may want to try at 2.25 maybe, because so if now the market is different, so your investment will come faster at 1.5 because of you are gonna get a much higher customer at this point of at this price point. So it's up to you how you wanna make the customer. So because if you always start at a very low price, it may become hard to increase the price at the later point. And if you start at a very high price, you may not get enough customers to sustain your business. So that decision is depend on not only on the financial model or only on the financial aspect, and also depends on the business model that you're gonna use. So these were the three first things that we looked at. If you have not attended the first session and you wanna look at the video, I have put the chat link. I have put the video link in the chat box. You are feel free to have a look at it and learn. So today we are gonna learn about the other aspects. So when you have decided what kind of business do you want to do and what is your price point and what is your customer segment, so the next thing that we may want to do is make a projected profit and loss statement. So for making a projected profit and loss statement, we need to identify the revenue. So the ultimate goal here is to find out the profit and loss statement, right? So profit and loss statement will have your main items as sales, your revenue, and then your cost of sales, your manpower, your operating expense. So operating expense really will depend on the business that you are doing in, but to standardize, I'm just using the operating expense as a general. You can always maintain it, detail it, or you can combine them into one form, because especially when you are starting a new business, you may not have 100% details of everything. Then you may have other major expenses as marketing expense, because for every startup or every new business, the marketing expenses can be quite huge in initial times. So that's what is the normal, the P&L. So you may have, so now we are just creating a skeleton. In financial modeling, we just create a skeleton first. What do we need ultimately, right? And then we will work backwards to see what information do we have and how we're gonna fill this information. So let's identify the skeleton first. So then it will become the total expenses your profit. So you might be able to, you might have to take invest in in the in the fixed assets, so you may be having a depreciation. You may also have interest on your loans if you have taken any loans, so that becomes your interest, and then that will be that will give us profit before taxes, because you have to calculate the interest and depreciation in order to calculate the profit. So it's gonna be profit minus depreciation minus interest, and then the taxes. So taxes are usually a percentage of the, let's say we assume 25% profit, and then you have profit after taxes. Okay, so that's our bare skeleton of our model. Now we need to identify all the details. So revenue, where the revenue gonna come from, right? So we have done initial understanding of our pricing, of our location, of our customer segment. So now we need to create a sheet for another working for our revenue budget. So we can create a sheet for here. Of revenue budget. I hope everybody can hear me clear. Can you send? Can you just message me if you are able to hear or not? Are you able to hear me, guys? Remedial, Manu.
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay, great. So yeah, let me continue then. Okay, so when we want to create a revenue budget, means revenue in our profit and loss statement. So the revenue usually has to come when we are modeling the revenue. We always have to model the revenue in granular details. The granular details means that we need to identify the quantity. You always sell in some quantity and always charge a price to your sales, right? So you always have a quantity and a price, and then you always have to do your revenue budget from each market segment or by product segment. So either you can do both or you can do either of them. It's ideal to do both, because that's how the details you can get, and it's gonna be more accurate, and it will help you in creating your detailed marketing plan or your marketing activities and answer any questions that you may have from your customers. So in our example, we were deciding on, we have done the pricing of only one thing, uh, which is the juice, the juice, the herbal drink that we were trying to sell. So let's do this one first. So product we have only one, herbal. That was what, herbal, no, herbal immunity booster. Let's say we want to at this point of time we may also sell fresh juices as well. So because we are is like a byproduct. So this is what is going to be our product segments. The market segment that we chosen earlier was these two market segments, the old age peoples and working professionals. So let's put that as well as our market. Now we decided that our market potential is going to be here. So total market size for old age peoples is going to be oh, this is the total segment. So let's calculate the capture of each market. So market size of the So this is going to be the market capture. So this is going to be our existing market share that we think we can get. For old age, it's going to be 4,100 people, and it's going to be 16,000 people. That's what is our market size going to be. So you can always link it to your workings. Old age peoples are going to be 4,150, and working professionals are going to be 16,000. So that's our market size. So this is our base. Then you will be doing the month by month budget here. So let's say you're going to launch your business in January. Typically, then you will do your budget for February. Whenever we are doing the financial modeling or any budgeting or forecasting, we always do 1 year at least for one whole year. And then okay, so in January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November and December. So 12 months. The rest of the years you can always say, okay, total of year 1, year 2 and year 3. So these you can do by year as well. You don't always have to do it in detail. If you wish, you can always do that to get more focus approach. But if you don't want to spend too much time on because the after 12 months the strategies can change very significantly. So we are normally advised 1 year to be in deeper details, to year 2, year 3 you can do it in general terms. So now how much you of this total footfall, because not everything when you start the business you will not be able to capture 100% of this market, right? So you have to identify gradually how much of each month you will be able to capture this, and this is per day. So you will not be able to serve this entire market in one day, right? So you will be able to, so you need to identify, okay, in first month let's say I will be able to capture 10% of this. So you can write down here 10% of the market in January itself, and then another 10% of the market is in January itself. Then for first couple of months I will run at 10%, and then in next while I'm doing the marketing association, maybe I can do 12. I can increase it to 12, then I will be able to increase it to 15. Here is just assumption. There is no scientific formula for making these estimates, making these assumptions. You just have to make these assumptions and check it, make a sanity check that you will be able to serve this demand or not ultimately, because how many persons per day it will be. So you can say, okay, we can recalculate this. So let's say multiply by the demand factor and multiply by the 30 days, right? In a January you're going to be 31 days. So you will have 12,000 total peoples. Or you can say, okay, I will just calculate first with so 415 per day and 1,600 peoples in a day. So if you say you don't have enough space for that, or you're not going to open up that much of space per day, you can handle only let's say 100 people. So in that case you're not going to make this assumption, you're gonna make it 1%, and then it will be more reasonable for you, because that's the total market. But in reality you may not be able to do this, carry out 100% market research, 100% market capture in the first month. There may be other competitors as well. Once you open up, there will be more people coming in. So this is your market segment, and then you will be having per day capture per day, and then you will have per month. You may assume, why I'm doing it in so many steps, why don't I just put this into a simple formula. Sorry, we should have also a month, days in a month, so that we don't have to use the manual calculation. 31, 29 or 28, 31, 30, and then we just copy this. Now we can use the formula easily into this. It's coming in round, so we use the round because these are number of peoples. It cannot be in percentage. And as we said earlier, we need to freeze the cell wherever we gonna move it around. Sorry, this one is going to freeze. This cell need to be freeze. Number B, and then we can copy it until the end. So this give us the formula, and here is gonna be the, here we can freeze the C number 2. So here is our formatting. Oops, sorry. Yeah. So what I was saying is, if you have seen, I have done it in three steps. One is to identify the capture ratio, another is to identify per day customer, and then finally to calculate how much is going to be my per month capture. I could do it in one formula itself, but when I review it next time, I will not be able to get the details, as much as details as I want. Because it would be very difficult for me to visually see how the capture is being calculated, because it would be very difficult to see each and every formula and go and check how the things are calculated, right? So that's why it's better to do more details. It may take a longer time, but it's worth of doing it. So now if you say now 3%, okay, maybe 1 month, 2 months we can say like that, then another month we can increase it slightly, because we will have more confidence in serving customers, so more people will be able to come. So you can do that, and then you can do that for another 2 months, and then the next quarter you can again increase it, maybe slightly 4.5 or 5, and then you can always increase your capture ratios. 4.5 and 2.5. Another quarter. And then you can increase the capture ratio slightly more, maybe 3% and 5%. Sorry, 5% and 3%. Why? Okay. So that's what your business is going to be. So this is also your quantity, right? Now you have got the total customers, correct? We know this. Now we got the total customers, how many products they will buy. So now you get it. If let's say they're gonna buy okay, immunity boosters, how much of the old age peoples would buy your immunity boosters, right? So now you can say product consumption. So product consumption by old age peoples and by working peoples. So you will, why we are doing this, because we want to understand how much of these immunity boosters we're gonna assume. So if let's say we're gonna assume that they will be, because we have already converted these into 30 days, so every if one customer is coming every single day, that becomes 30 customers. So how much will they buy, only immunity boosters, or do they buy fresh juices as well, or they're gonna buy both, or let's say they're gonna buy half the time they will buy immunity booster, or half the time they will may buy fresh juices. But it may be different for working professionals. So working peoples may buy 75% of the time immunity boosters, and the rest of 25% of the time they may buy only the working the fresh juices. So now we know how many peoples are there, so we can easily calculate the product market. So if the old age peoples are total, so they will be buying immunity booster. So immunity booster this plus the working professionals into immunity boosters. So now we know. So we can freeze the 22 column, because we don't want to allow this to move, and we will do the same calculation for old age peoples for juices plus working professionals into fresh juices. So this is again, we will freeze the F4, yes, and then let's make it round, because that's not the right way. Right, so now we have freezed it, so we can calculate this until the end, and then this is what we got in total. Okay, now since we know what is our market size going to be, and what kind of product we are going to sell, now we can compare. So quantity we get, right, and now the price. So price of each item can be different. So price, this is quantity sold by product. Now you will see the price sold by product. So okay, so price, so let's say now if you're gonna charge different prices to the different peoples, then you have to factor in the price here. In that case, we have to multiply this with the price itself at this point of time, because then we cannot have only the quantity, but we have to have the revenue as well, or we have to put them in different lines. Price immunity booster by old age people, immunity booster by working peoples, and then same fresh juices by old age people, fresh juices by working peoples, and then we multiply with their respective price. For now, for the sake of simplicity, we assume we're going to charge the same price, $2 for immunity booster and maybe $1.5 for price. So this is maybe but this is our list price. We may have to do promotional discounts, we may have to do other discounts, so our actual achieved price may be lower. So either, now you have a choice, either you can say it's gonna be this price all time, and then you will do marketing discounts. So each month you're gonna, let's say you wanna discount 30% or 25% in these in the initial months, and then another 30% or another, let's say 20% in the next 3 months, and then you may do some special promotion, let's say buy one get one in this particular month to entice the market. So you can do different comparisons to be able to demonstrate, to be able to develop more robust revenue budgeting, revenue forecasting system. So let's assume this way, because there is no limitation to imagination, and then we will give only 15% discount for the rest of the time. So what would be your achieved price? So this is your market sales list price, right? Then you will have, because of this, you may have that you can do discounts by category as well. So if you want to make it this way, then you can do it this way: discount on the marketing, discount on the immunity booster, and discount on the fresh juices, You can reduce these discounts or increase these discounts, up to you, however you want to do the marketing. Let's say you do it this way, and then your achieved price. So we got the achieved price. So what is your achieved price going to be? So you can multiply this by the price itself. Sorry, this is the discount. 1 minus the discount. So you will be able to achieve 1.5 and $1.2. Sorry, you don't have to do the sum for this. And then you will finally be able to get your revenue. So revenue for each product, and then sorry, not total, right? So you can just multiply the quantity which you sold, multiply by the immunity booster. You don't have to round it off. You can leave it if you wish. If you want to round it off, you can round it off. There is no problem with that. So this is going to be your first month revenue. So now we can plot it into our revenue budget. So you can multiply, you need to make it a bit formatted here. Jan, Feb, and then copy this into your P&L. Make it nice and tidy. Copy, link the revenue. Why do I link? Why don't I just copy? Because if you change anything anywhere, it will be easier for you to link it everywhere. And then we just make it nice total like this. Total revenue. Now you would say you want to do year 2 or year 3, you want to just increase by another 20% growth. So you can just say okay, 1.2, or you can make a assumption here, growth 20%, and you can use it, multiply by 1 plus into 1 plus this. So you get your revenue for next year. And let's say you want to increase another 15% in this particular month, so you can copy the formula, so it will be able to increase it. So next year revenue will be 380,000, right? Now cost of sales. So next thing you want to do cost of sales is, you can do cost of sales either on the same sheet because you already have all the setup here, quantity by sold, or you can do setup by separate sheet, no problem. It's up to you, your decision how you want to do it. The cost for, so we have calculated the earlier cost. The cost of the each portion was coming about 0.41 for immunity booster. So you can say cost in revenue budget itself, cost per portion is going to be 0.41, and for immunity booster, and for fresh juice, even though we did not calculate it, we can assume it's gonna be, let's say, 0.2. Now ideally the costs are supposed to remain the same throughout the year. However, if you see there is any seasonal impact, the cost of fresh fruit is gonna high, cost of fresh fruits can be higher. You can always do that, you can always factor in it. So now you can calculate the total cost. You have the quantity here, you have the cost here, you can calculate it. How much is going to be your cost? Right, and now you will be able to link it here, cost of sales. So that was an easy peasy solution. Sorry, we didn't calculate the sum total, so let's calculate sum totals after this. Yeah, So you want to write down something. What is this? So this is cost of immunity booster, so that you remember next time what it is. And then this is cost of fresh juices, total cost. Labeling is very important, so please remember that all the time. Then now the next cost that you have to identify, again you may want to increase the sales, so you can increase it by a separate amount. Either you can write down, you can say okay, not 20%, it can be increased only by 10% because of the inflation or other factors, so you can write down 10%. And in this cost, so cost percentage, usually you don't have to do a separate cost estimation for every line. You can just assume a general inflation rate or increase rate, so that it's not that complicated. Otherwise you can always make a separate estimate, no problem with that. So here is the total cost, manpower. Now manpower is going to be a difficult thing to do. I mean, it's not going to be difficult, it's going to be involving a lot of calculations, so we normally do it on a separate sheet. So let's say now revenue manpower is definitely based on what you are going to do, based on different levels of business that you are going to serve. So what information do you need for this? So information that we need is, one is the total customer served. Now it doesn't matter which customer it is, because manpower is gonna be almost the same unless your business model is different. Total customers served, total portions served. Right. Then you're gonna be saying, okay, total customers served in my market was coming from revenue budget. So total customers were here, total customers, right? You want to label the months, so you can copy it from the P&L sheet just to have a consistency. Make it total. Yes, so you get your customers. So now you can see the customer served. Why the customer served in this month is lower than the other? Okay, because of the number of days are less. Never mind, that's good. So you always have to continue check that the amount that you are calculating is reasonable or not. Now total portion sold, total portion served is going to be here. This information you will need almost for every particular expense. We don't have the total, but let's say we can do the total quantity. For some you may need it by product, so we will use it wherever we feel it to be. We need sum total. Yeah, now we get a total products sold. Yeah, now why do we need the quantity? Because we want to understand really what is the production going to be, because you may have different peoples for producing, for different peoples for serving, right? So in our example it's the same thing, but because one person is gonna ask one thing, no, it's slightly different. Strange, it's same. Because yeah, total is one quantity anyways, it's not going to be different, it's not different. Or if let's say you're gonna say that, oh, they're 0.3% or 0.4% times they're gonna use working people is gonna use fresh juices and immunity boosters, and 0.6 times they're gonna use the fresh juices, then it's gonna be more products than the old age peoples. So let's use it this way so that we can see the difference clearly. Otherwise, it's going to be exactly the same. So we may not be able to identify the difference between customer served and total portion served. Total portion served can be always higher or lower than the should be higher than the customer served, not lower than, because it means it can be lower than your customer served as well, because some people may only buy one product, but at least they will buy at least one product. So ideally it shouldn't be lower than the customer served. Now here is the thing. If let's say you have only one person who is going to serve and who is going to customer, so you need to identify the efficiency, or some we call that productivity. So based on your layout, your plan of the store, what is the productivity for customer, for service and for production, both? Will I have different person? Let's say service wise, one person will be able to serve 20 customers or 30 customers or 100 customers a day, right? So we need a number of days here also. Now we need number of days. Yes. So we link this number of days from our revenue budget sheet. So that's how we have to identify and use what kind of information we need for making different business decisions. So when you are planning for hiring the customers, hiring the staff, you need to know what kind of productivity they will have, or what kind of daily things that you're gonna be using them. So the productivity for the service, let's say one person will be able to serve 30 customers or 100 customers per day maximum, right? So let's say service is going to be one customer, 50 customers. Production, he can definitely produce all the customers. You don't have to be, it doesn't have to be defined. Or you can say, okay, one person can make only 100 can handle only 60 or 70 customers at one single point of time. That's, we are talking about the whole day, means when we are opening up for the number of hours, let's say in 1 hour he can make 7-10 juices or 7-10 immunity boosters. In the whole day he will be able to handle 50-60. We are assuming you are gonna have the customers throughout the day in equal amount, but if let's say you're gonna have working professionals, which means they will come only at the end of the day. In 2 hour, 3 hour, you may have to serve these customers, all the customers, right? So how many customers you are getting on a daily basis? So you can see per day, per hour, per day, per hour. So how many is it going to be? So let's say divide this by 8 hours. We are assuming we are doing 8, but if you say no, we are actually going to be busy only for 4 particular hours, 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours in the evening, so let's divide by 4. Then same, but you have to change the you have to calculate it, divide by 31, divide by 4. Now you will get it. Round again, we don't forget to do a round. Okay, now we get it. So if let's say one person is able to total production served, not the total customers, total production, total portions. So if let's say you're gonna say that one person can handle only 50 people per hour, 50 people seems to be a lot to me. So let's say you are able to serve only 30 people in an hour, because that's how usually you would be able to do. And production you can do, let's say one person can make how many dishes? If let's say it takes about 2 minutes to make one item, then the person will be able to make only 30 dishes in an hour. So let's say 30. Again, service maybe can be higher, so let's say 50. So this is the capacity. So how many people do we need? People's needed for service and for production. So service will be based on the customer that we need to serve, divide by 50. So you need at least this number of peoples. So we can always do the round up. Here we don't use round, because round means that 1.5 and less will become 1, and 1.5 and more become 1 2. So here we need to do round up, because you cannot serve 0.1 customers. So here round up, so means it becomes 2 peoples, 1 people up to 30, and another 1 people, 1 for 20, extra 20 peoples, right? And for production you need 3 peoples, but for each month it gonna be different numbers. So here you get your peoples needed per month for your production. Now you are now we can identify, now we have identified the number of peoples needed. Do you need a manager? So let's say you may need a supervisor for them, right? So supervise other people, so other team needed, this is based on the production. So other team needed is gonna be a supervisor, let's say 1 person minimum, right? And then you also will need somebody to relieve these people, because not everybody work on 24 7 days a week, right? They will be working only 5 days a week. So what about the other 2 days? If you're going to open up 7 days, you may need to have more people to be able to substantiate them. If you are able to do multitasking, then you can combine them up together and reliever, right? And then you can say, okay, total I have 5 people to relieve in a month, right? How many days I have to relieve? So let's say I relieve, they are able to work only 5 days a week officially, so means you need to relieve 2 days a week, means 8 days of a month. So divide by 30 into 8. So you need 1 extra person, that is 1.3, but you can always do round, it doesn't have to be there. You just need you can always use the you always use the roundup formula, rotation, departmental rotation, or can pay slightly. But if your business model say no, I can actually hire the person on contract or hire the person on a permanent role, then I don't need to actually pay them leaves or do the reliever, then you don't need this position. But let's assume we need this position because that's what is our business model requirement. Now the total number of people you need is 7 until 15th, correct? Now you need to identify their manpower cost. So you can do the budget by the position here again. So same pattern, so that we can easily copy paste the formulas. That's how we do normally. Basic pay to make it faster, so that you don't have to really adjust the content, adjust the formatting, adjust anything else. So it's easy and faster. So now we have a setup done here. This is the basic cost. First, right, now we have to identify just the basic pay. So let's say service person average basic pay for one person is, in terms of dollars, is about, let's say $150. For production it can be slightly expensive, let's say it's $180. Supervisor may cost you $250 maybe, or $300, let's say. A reliever may cost you, let's say, $180, because you need multi-skill person. So this is the number of people you need, and then we use this for the whole month. whole year. Now you get the cost of production, cost of the labor. Now you may have other expenses, so this is the basic cost, basic pay cost. What about the government benefits? You may have to pay them the benefits and other perks, benefits and perks. So you don't, if you have the, if you know what are your company policy, you can factor in those based on number of people. If you don't have, you may want to just use a formula, let's say another 20% or 30% on top of it. Usually it depends on the country where you are in. You it can range from 25% to 40% of the basic pay. So let's say we use 25%, and then the total manpower, total labor cost. So that becomes total labor cost plus this. So this becomes your total labor cost, right? Total. Now we can figure it out. Manpower. We can say, okay, total manpower cost. Now you have manpower cost in this one, and then you can apply the inflation same as the other formula that we have used in the past. So you can say, okay, the O5, we can fix this, and then just copy the formula. Now you have to identify what are the other operating costs. Oh, sorry, we have forgot to do it here. So let's make it this way, and then you can formulate the rest of the things as well. Yeah, now we get it 100%. We will find out the other details very soon, don't worry. Now you have other operating expense and marketing expense, so you have to use the other sheets for that. So value creation, other expenses. So let's do the other expenses first. So you have other operating expenses. So what are the other operating expenses in your business? So you have to list them down first. So think about it in details, do a brainstorming, and then say, okay, maybe you need a packaging. When the customer come for you, you may need some amenities. Maybe you need some disposable equipments, or you need serving things, serving kits. You need straw. You may need spoons. You may need other things. If you wanna use the glass one, which you can continue to reuse, you can put them under capex. Or if you wanna use the disposable ones, then you can use the plastic ones, which are disposable, or you can use the paper based, which are also disposable. So you have to decide what is your business model. Packaging, serving kits. Then what else you need? You may need to pay the electricity. You may need to pay for the maintenance of the place. You may need to pay the rental. You may need to pay the maintenance. You may need to pay the other miscellaneous expenses for office. You may need to pay office. You forgot about the accounting in the manpower, because this manpower was only for the production. So let's say now we forgot one thing, we forgot about the manpower. So either you can put it here, or you can outsource the manpower. So let's say it's also into office administration, finance and HR. So let's say you are doing outsource. So how much gonna cost you per month? So you have to find out. Let's say it costs you $300. Maintenance costs you another 20. Maintenance and rental is sometimes based on the revenue. So you have to pull in those information here. Again, total customer, Some cost will be based on total customers, some cost will be based on total portions, and some cost will be based on revenue. So you have to pull that information from other sheets. So let's say revenue sheet has all the information that you need. You need total customers, so you get total this is product sold. Here is the total customers, and you need total portions, so you need total portions. You need total revenue, so you get total revenue from here. Oh, sorry, this is total cost. So here you get the total revenue. So let's put it until the end, and then you will see January to December. We copy the 10, so that we know what we are talking about here, right? Total is summed up. Let's make it a formula. Yeah, now you get it. So your some cost will be fixed, so you can do the color coding for them, which one is fixed and which one is variable. Or the better way is to identify by having a column here, basis, correct? So you can simply say it's a basic contract. Okay, now rental is, let's say the base of rental is $300 fixed rent plus 5% of the revenue. It can be like this. So let's say then your formula is 300 plus 5% of revenue. So revenue multiplied by 5%. You can use this. So higher the revenue, higher your expenses. Maintenance, let's say it's a fixed cost, or you can assume it's a fixed cost. So let's say it's a assumption, fixed cost. So let's say you are paying 5% or $50 or $100 per month on the maintenance, so that becomes your fixed cost. Then you have electricity. It would depend on your place. If you're gonna have how many hours you're gonna run. Usually it's a fixed cost. Let's say it's gonna come out at $500. These are all assumptions. The actual numbers will depend on where you are. Serving kits usually will depend on number of customers, right? So number of customers will be here. So let's say you're gonna spend it's gonna cost you maybe 0.2 cents or 0.1 cent, so 0.1 per customer. If you want to link it with this, you have to put it into separate columns, otherwise you can just use 0.1. Usually it's fixed, no matter how many customers you have. And then your packaging is also, let's say, the 0.1 per portion served. Or serving kits can also be per portion, actually, into 0.1. But just to show you a different example, I am using it different ways. So now you get a total other operating. If you have any other operating cost, you can add it, or you can just make a provision for miscellaneous. So let's say we make a provision for another miscellaneous cost, $500 a month, just so that we cover any other unknown cost that we may have in the business. Sorry. Right, so we get it. So now we get the other operating expenses, pretty much fine here. Now we need to identify the marketing expenses. So what is the marketing expenses? Marketing expenses would depend on your marketing plan, right? So marketing plan can be here. You can use the same sheet. So now your marketing plan, how will you acquire the different customers? So let's say you want to use digital marketing. You want to have a website, you may have a social media maintenance, social media page, which you can do by yourself, the first is you have to have a marketing plan, right? So how you gonna do digital marketing, Facebook, social media, or you want to do the advertisements, you want to do events for promoting, you want to do some kind of other word of mouth, so you may do free sampling, you can do that. You may hire few people to be your brand ambassadors. So okay, now this is your marketing plan. So the month in which you're gonna do is, you can write down here month in which you will do, or you can just put into the cost. So let's say the digital marketing, you may have a marketing consultant to be able to asking you who is going to do what, then and you're gonna spend $200 a month on your marketing expenses. Let's say website is a one-time cost, initial it's just comes to $1,000, and then after that you may have to pay a maintenance fee of this, which is let's say $200 a year or $100 a year, which means just only $10 per month. But usually you don't have to do that in first year, so let's not charge anything. Advertisement, now let's say you don't want to do advertisement in the beginning, right? You may want to do advertisement only in the newspaper or in the social media for boosting, or social Facebook posting only in the 6th month onwards. So you may want to spend only $100 here starting per month, or just like something like that. Events you may want to do initially so that you have exposure. So let's say you want to do some events, maybe spending $1,000 here for 3 months. Free sampling, again gonna cost you some money. The cost will be food cost, so how many people will sample your, and how much will be the cost of it. So let's say you want to give only 1/10 of the portion, so one portion cost you how much? One portion is cost you yeah, 0.4 and 0.2. Let's say you want to give each of them equally, so the total cost will be 0.04 and 0.02, so 1/10. So how many samples you want to distribute? So sample cost you can separate it out, or you can just work it out here. Let's say for simplicity, I work out here 0.04, right, multiply by, let's say you want to distribute 10,000 samples in this month, that will be the cost. And or you want to distribute, let's say 50,000 samples, 50,000 samples and 50,000 samples and 50,000 samples and 50,000 samples. So let's say you want to do it for 5 months. Now you may have a brand ambassador, means you may have to find somebody to be able to do the brand ambassading for you. Let's say you find a social media artist or YouTuber or a Facebook celebrity. So let's say you want to spend $500 for him for a year, just to help you boost out the things. So that's your marketing plan, right? So marketing plan doesn't have to be perfect, but it just have to have some sort of details. When are you going to spend on what, right? So now we get a marketing plan, so you can plug it in. Right, so here you will see some of the months are very low expense and some of the months are good profit, but that's how it's okay. It's just okay to have a business like that. There's no problem with it. So this is what is you have. Now the depreciation, you need equipment, right? So how you gonna do that? So you will have to calculate depreciation for file for it. You have to create a capex plan. You have to have a logistic plan, how you're gonna find that. So that thing we're gonna discuss tomorrow, and also we will be discussing the finances part of it. How do we make the decisions on value creation? So how do we define whether fixed cost, variable cost is good for us? How do we define whether doing things by ourselves or doing by outsiders is better for us? Let's say we may, for example, we may hire somebody else to do the production. We buy ready-made, but you may want to have something of your value creation, just as an example. Or you may have somebody. Now we have not discussed anything about the delivery cost yet until now. So there may be some delivery cost, so you may outsource the delivery cost, or you may do it by ourselves. So that we will learn tomorrow. That one part is missing. So from here, so let's say I add it in delivery expenses. Now delivery expenses, you may be able to charge delivery charge. So that's not a really a problem, right? So let's adjust the formulas to make it into the account. Whenever you are changing adding a line or deleting a line, make sure you check the formula, right? So those things we will be doing tomorrow. So tomorrow we're gonna be learning the rest of the financial model, and also we're gonna be discussing how do we make the financial decision on interest and other aspects of your financial models, and then we will be able to finish it. So I will again put out the recording of this after editing some parts in the